What's up, it's Cinema Shogun here, and guess who's trying to make a comeback? Travis Scott, of course. It seems like every few weeks, Travis Scott crawls out of the woodwork, peeks his head back into society, and tries to see if we're ready to accept him again. And every time, he is met with a firm no by the general public. Yet his fans still believe that Travis Scott did nothing wrong. But now he is supposedly launching a new initiative in response to the Astroworld tragedy. And after looking through this initiative, it hardly has anything to do with Astroworld at all. Now let's start with his Instagram post that he posted yesterday. And it states, "Over the past few months, I have been taking the time and space to grieve, reflect, and do my part to heal my community. Most importantly, I want to use my resources and platform moving forward towards actionable change. This will be a lifelong journey for me and my family." Let me pause right there. He said that he's been taking the time and space to grieve. I don't believe that. I don't believe that he's been grieving at all. In fact, as someone who has a finger on these type of things, I could tell you that Travis Scott has been constantly working in the background, making new music, trying to get a lot of these deals to push through that were canceled, like some of his shoes that were supposed to come out with Nike. Some of them were delayed. We're now starting to see new release dates for them. He's actually working on a new album. He's supposed to be at Coachella. Kanye West spilled the beans that he's going to be at another, music festival, and he even tried to headline another music festival. So Travis Scott hasn't been taking the space to grieve and reflect. Travis Scott has been forced in a corner to where no one necessarily wants to hire him or release his products right now. It's not a natural thing that's happening. It's not like Travis Scott kind of disappeared from the limelight because he's naturally feels upset and he's naturally processing what happened at Astroworld. In fact, it's been the exact opposite. He's been trying every step of the way to claw his way right back out into the forefront, but people are just kind of, pushing back. So all this space and time to grieve and reflect is a bunch of BS. I can confirm for a fact that he has not been doing anything of the sort. But back to what he said in his Instagram post. "While it's easy for corporations and institutions to stay in the shadows, I feel as a leader in my community, I need to step up in times of need. My team and I created Project Heal to take much needed actions towards supporting real solutions that make all events the safest spaces they can possibly be. I will always honor the victims of the Astroworld tragedy who remain in my heart forever." Let's pause right there again. This is the one part that I agree with, that it's easy for a lot of these corporations and institutions to stay in the shadows. I've been accused since my Astroworld cover, which I've covered this story, extensively, that I'm focusing all of my anger and I'm just focusing everything on Travis Scott. Like all of this, everything that happened at Astroworld was 100% Travis Scott's fault. And that is not the case. While we see Travis Scott coming out and making these apologies and coming out in public and making these statements, we're not seeing any of that from Live Nation and the other people that were responsible for Astroworld. But what I will say is, I believe that if anyone holds most of the responsibility for this, it's Travis Scott himself. You could blame Live Nation and the people who set up this concert for some of the problems that were in this concert, but when you have Travis Scott, the person whose festival this is, literally telling his fans, don't worry, we're still going to let people in, even though we're oversold out. Just sneak in. And you're encouraging that type of behavior. And then when you're on stage and they're telling you maybe we should stop the show, people are dying, and you decide to keep going, and you have the mic, that's when it becomes mostly your responsibility. We've seen it time and time again that people with the microphone, these musicians, they have the ability to stop the crowd and to make the crowd chill out. Travis Scott didn't want to do that. Going back to his post though, "Giving back and creating opportunities for the youth is something I've always done and will continue to do as long as I have the chance. This program will be a catalyst to real change. I can't wait to introduce the rest of the technology and ideas we've been working on. See you all soon. So even here in this post, before you even know anything about this charity or this initiative that he is launching, it doesn't seem like it's for Astroworld victims, right? He's talking about creating opportunities for the youth, where I think that's a good thing. But what about the people affected by Astroworld? You know, you coming and launching a charity to make sure that kids have an after-school program, that's a cool thing, but what does that have to do with Astroworld and what happened at Astroworld? So let's go take a look at heal-project.org. Project HEAL is a multi-tier initiative dedicated to addressing challenges facing today's youth, especially those from marginalized and at-risk communities. Right there. Before I go any further, they're already hitting us with a virtue signal. You're addressing challenges facing today's youth, especially those from marginalized and at-risk communities. What do you mean by marginalized and at-risk communities? And what does that have to do with Astroworld? This is a virtue signal to make it seem like he's more virtuous, like, oh, we're helping marginalized communities and at-risk communities, although I don't even know if there's a such thing as an at-risk community. Like, this is one of those new words that they use to make you feel like they're doing the right thing, when really at-risk communities, what the hell even is that? And what does that have to do with Astroworld? The at-risk community that Travis Scott should be worried about are the kids that are at risk at his concerts. So is that what he means by at-risk community? Marginalized community? Meaning the margins of kids that decide to go to your show are susceptible to way more danger than the average kid who doesn't go to a Travis Scott concert? I don't know, but right there off the bat, you can tell like this is insincere. You're going with these words that are virtue signal words that have nothing to do with Astroworld. So we want to help marginalized and at-risk communities. Okay, well, what about the Astroworld victims? Period. In conjunction with the Cactus Jack Foundation, Project HEAL unites initiatives ranging from academic scholarships, free mental health resources, a creative design center, a first ever tech-driven solution for event safety. These efforts, independently and collectively, aim to solve challenges and overcome issues impacting the youth community. If you really want to overcome issues impacting the youth community, the first thing you can do is eliminate a lot of this rap music, which basically exists for the sole purpose of talking about killing each other and stuff like that. And I'm even responsible for listening to a lot of that music myself. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you all, but that's something that I think is really affecting the youth. Because, like, I could put on whatever song or whatever movie I want. I could watch it. It could have a lot of violent content in the song or in the movie. And I'm well equipped enough mentally to deal with it. Some kids are not. Some kids are really impressionable. I never put on a CD as a kid and listened to the music and was like, yeah, I need to go do this type of stuff. I listened to it and I enjoyed it for the rhyme schemes, and some of the stuff sounded cool, but at the end of the day, I never wanted to go recreate those things myself. Yet people, are really, into that. Everybody wants to be a rapper nowadays, and they want to live the rapper lifestyle, but they don't want to deal with the consequences that it comes with. But like I said, right here, he's talking about free mental health resources. What he means by that is that there's literally an app that you download on your phone and you talk to random strangers, who some of which aren't even qualified therapists, and this company that he's working alongside with already got exposed for like selling the information of the people who were using their app. So they're selling all of your information and stuff to random companies. So the help with the mental health resources off rip is bogus. It's not professional. It's just some random app shit that he's working along with. The academic scholarships, Travis Scott has already had a scholarship program, and I'm not going to talk down about that because that is a good thing. A creative design center, and that's cool, but what does that have to do with Astroworld? So there's actually 4 initiatives to this plan. Initiative 1, Wayman Webster HBCU Scholarship Fund. The Wayman Webster Scholarship Fund will grant $1 million in scholarships to seniors at historically Black colleges and universities who have reached academic excellence, but who are facing the last-minute challenge of financial adversity in their second semester senior year and risk not graduating. The scholarships will bring 100 HBCU students over the finish line, diploma in hand. This is the second year that Travis Scott supported HBCU, and it represents a tenfold increase. So this was something Travis Scott was already doing. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm not going to say that, of course, but it's something that Travis Scott was doing well before Astroworld, but now he's just going to throw a little bit more money at it, supposedly. Past recipients include students at Howard University, Morehouse College, Texas Southern University, Grambling State University, Prairie View A&M University, Scott's grandfather's alma mater, where he also served as an educator. The scholarship is named after Wayman to honor his lifetime of dedication to academic excellence. Learn more at cactusjack.foundation. So, like I said, there's nothing wrong with this. Cool. But it has nothing to do with Astroworld. And it's not even something that he created in response to Astroworld. It's something that, a charity that he already had going on. You know? You helping some kid at a historically black college has nothing to do with the kid who got trampled at your concert. I mean, I just don't understand what these initiatives have anything to do with Astroworld. I think it's almost laughable that this is the response. Albeit, like, shouts out to him for doing some of this stuff, but whatever. Expansion of the Cactus Youth Design Center. Travis, in conjunction with the Cactus Jack Foundation, will fund an expansion of the Cactus Youth Design Center, a state-of-the-art 60,000 square feet multi-use workplace located in Houston, Texas. Since developments began in 2021, hundreds of middle and high school students have already enrolled in the center and are on their way to become the next generation of creators and inventors. Heal will fund a new 7-figure comprehensive creative design education program for the center, existing where fashion, art, technology, and music intersect. Through a strategic online partnership with a leading HBCU, the expansion of the center's mission will afford students across the country, especially those from low-income communities, the opportunity to explore and hone their design skills with infrastructures with industry experience and instructors with industry experience. Once again, cool. What the hell does this have to do with Astroworld? This was a center that he was already making. He was already creating. Basically, he's going to add an extra room to the center now. And that's supposed to be in response to what happened at Astroworld. But I don't see how this helps anyone affected by Astroworld in the least bit. And really, I feel like we're just seeing a lot of Travis Scott's plans that he already had. He's just going forward with these plans, but now he's packaging them in a Astroworld package. Like, oh, here's some things I'm doing with my charities now, but now this is for Astroworld. Mind you, a lot of this stuff is like tax write-offs too. So oftentimes when you look at someone and you applaud them for being so charitable, a lot of times they're doing it for their benefit and they don't really care about the people they're helping. I'm not saying that's the case with Travis Scott. I'm just saying that's facts. Mental health resources. Heal will address the country's skyrocketing mental health crisis and focus much-needed resources to support services for young people, especially in lower-income communities of color, many of whom have few available, accessible, affordable mental health options. So are you going to address some of the mental health issues that I addressed in my last video on this channel? About how a lot of these young people are being, basically being groomed by their teachers. They're being groomed by these social media apps like TikTok, and they're all like confused about their genders and who they are. Will you address that? I doubt it. I highly doubt it. In fact, you'll probably have people here at this facility telling kids that it's okay to get, sex changes and things of that nature. I would not be surprised. So when they package things as mental health, like, oh, these people are going to help your mental health, in reality, they bring a lot of activists to your schools or to these charitable foundations. They hire activists that really aren't there for your mental health. They're in there to plant seeds of like confusion and to really confuse young adults and, and make their certain things that they're going through. They try to turn it into something else to fit their own agenda. So you have to be careful when you're talking about, oh, these people are here to help like mental health, to help kids with mental health issues, when in reality, a lot of them are here just to radicalize your kids. Now, they're launching a free dedicated crisis care hotline. Wow. So Travis Scott, the musician, who can't even successfully throw his own concert without people getting crushed, is opening a dedicated crisis hotline, an online channel that will address the mental health needs of young people who identify as needing services. Identify. As soon as you hear the word identify, I could promise you need to start raising your eyebrows. That's another one of those words that these people really like to use. Now, let me start this over. Launching a free, dedicated crisis care hotline, an online channel that will address the mental health needs of young people who identify as needing services. All crisis counselors will be licensed professionals, including counselors and social workers. So now, Travis Scott is launching this thing for your kids to where you have no idea about this going on, right? You're a parent, you're at work, you're doing your thing. Your kid maybe has some issues, and now they're calling the Travis Scott hotline. Do you really trust your kid, even if they are dealing with some mental things, to call the Travis Scott hotline for help? Do you trust the advice that they will give your kids? I damn sure don't. So this right here, this whole thing about helping mental health, in reality, I think it's probably more detrimental for kids' mental health than anything else. But mental health resources will be made available to area schools to help identify any students needing mental health counseling and to provide proper support. Houston-based behavioral health expert Dr. Janice Beal will help lead the effort with Scott's support. Beal, programming director of Wellbeing in Color, a peer mental health education program for students of color, in addition to her private practice, Dr. Beal most recently developed mental health pipelines for the Houston Independent School District during the COVID-19 pandemic and is a member of the Mayor's Houston Task Force for Special Needs and advises U.S. Rep. Sheila Jackson Lee on youth mental health issues. So right here, I'm not trying to be rude here, but judging by some of the things that Dr. Janice Beal is wrapped up in, it looks like she's one of those activists, like I told you. Probably judging by some of the things that she does, looks like she's a heavy promoter of critical race theory. So, yeah, you're going to have kids basically calling and getting indoctrinated by these mental health experts. Also, it just seems like a lot of this charity is so-called like aimed at low-income children and things of that nature. And downright, it basically says that most of this is aimed at children of color, which I have no problem with that. That's cool. But what does that have to do with Astroworld? I would argue that most low-income people probably weren't at Astroworld. Astroworld was kind of expensive. I don't think low-income parents are buying tickets for their kids to Astroworld because maybe they couldn't afford it. So a lot of the people you're helping, which is good, it's good that you're helping these people, but they have nothing to do with Astroworld. In fact, it's like you're helping a bunch of people who would have never been at Astroworld in the first place. And in reality, Travis Scott himself, his following, his fan base, they're not necessarily a marginalized fan base of at-risk community people or whatever the hell they're talking about here. Most of them are a bunch of rich white kids. That's who made Travis Scott popular, are like rich white kids. That's who listens to Travis Scott for the most part. He's not like your most hood gangster rapper that you can think of, but I would say that Travis Scott's fan base is majority like suburban white kids. And so none of this program is actually going to help even people who would show up at his shows. I mean, regardless, I think all of this is bogus. And also, I mean, some of it's a good idea, but I don't mean it's bogus in the sense that it's bogus to do this. I just think it's bogus to use this as a response to Astroworld, when really this is just a bunch of stuff that Travis Scott was already doing, or already planning on doing, and now he just relabeled it as a response to Astroworld, as if people are now going to forgive him for Astroworld because he's launching a mental health hotline where you can talk to activists about how you feel about yourself. So, well, whatever. Now, Initiative 4 is a U.S. Conference of Mayors and Tech-Driven Solutions for Event Safety. Finally, we're touching on something that has to do something with Astroworld. Event safety. Shouldn't this be initiative number 1? This is probably the 4th initiative, is probably a tacked on initiative. Like, this is the only thing that he's doing in response to Astroworld. All the other stuff is just other stuff. He will address safety challenges for large-scale live events, including funding the U.S. Conference of Mayors Task Force of Event Safety and a tech product solution currently in development. Okay. I feel like whenever you put yourself in a big crowd of people, your chances of getting hurt or something happening to you increases drastically. What happened at Astroworld doesn't happen too often. We're not seeing, like, every weekend a mass tragedy at a concert where people are getting crushed and they're dying. So I think that launching this initiative to find all of these, tech solutions for what happened at Astroworld, and really the solution was just have a performer who cares more about their fans. That's all the solution needed to be. You could try to approach it from whatever technical aspect you want to, but in reality, all it would have taken was a performer that seemed to care a little more about their fans and wasn't so concerned about having this aura around them of being this super rager artist, that doesn't back down and wants everyone to rage out and form mosh pits. And it backfired on him. So I don't think this initiative will really help. If anything, you just need to be more aware of what's going on in the crowd. And when you get these warnings, you need to stop the show. It's really that simple. This effort will bring together all of the relevant stakeholders from government, public safety, emergency response, healthcare, event management, music, and technology. It will be the first time all of these groups and individuals will work together to most effectively address the safety challenges faced by future large-scale events. Scott, in conjunction with the group, will aggressively focus on new technologies and innovations that offer ways to address the challenges posed by large-scale events. Now, coming up with new technologies to make things safer, that's not a bad thing. But like I said, I don't think any form of technology would have helped at Astroworld. Literally, all it would have taken was Travis Scott to calm down the crowd and to stop the show when he was told to stop the show. I mean, you can sit here and try to come up with whatever gadget you can fucking think of. All you really needed to do is just, hey, everyone, calm down for a second. Cut and dry. It's that simple. It's that simple. Yes, Travis Scott had the power to do that. You could go watch thousands upon thousands of incidents where the performers stopped the show. Travis Scott had that power. And if you're still someone who doesn't think that, if you're still someone that isn't turned off by how Travis Scott literally auto-tuned sang over someone's lifeless body as they were carried out of the crowd, I don't know what to tell you. At the conclusion of this research, HEAL, together with the U.S. Conference of Mayors, will assist in the creation of a comprehensive report of recommendations to be presented formally and distributed to key stakeholders for adoption, including every mayor of every town and city which hosts large-scale events. HEAL will work towards advocating that this report serves as the new safety and security blueprint for all festivals and large-scale events. More information on these efforts, including product development, will roll out in 2022. So they didn't even get all of their information and stuff down pat before they rolled out this announcement, because Travis Scott is chomping at the bit to come back out in the limelight. And if you think that the timing of this isn't odd, also, I do not know what to tell you. They clearly timed this to release this when there's a lot of situations going on right now with the Kardashians. A lot of the reason Travis Scott is as popular as he is because he is the baby father of one of the Kardashians, or one of the Jenners, Kylie Jenner. And right now, there's a lot of drama going on between Kanye, Kim, and Pete Davidson. So right now, we're going to see Travis Scott trying to peek his head out of the hole, because right now, public enemy number one, as far as the Kardashian brand goes, is now Kanye West. And the more and more all this stuff happens between Kanye West and Kim Kardashian, albeit I think a lot of it is organic, I think a lot of it is being like hyper inflated in order to make people forget about Astroworld. And of course, you know, we won't forget about Astroworld, but to make the headlines, like for a while there, when you talked about the Jenner Kardashian brand, Astroworld was in the forefront. Now it's no longer Astroworld. It's, oh, Kim is a victim of Kanye West's crazy ways, and she's just trying to live her life. That's the new narrative surrounding that family now. And now Astroworld has been pushed off to the side. Kylie Jenner had her new baby. Travis Scott is working on new music, a new album, new concerts, new tours, you name it. So there was never a grace period of trying to heal and work things out. None of this was happening naturally. None of this was a natural progression. I do believe in forgiving people. I'm not a cancel culture guy. I was never advocating that Travis Scott should never work again, but I would damn sure not go to one of his concerts. But when I go on social media, I see that most of Travis Scott's fans don't care. In fact, I've seen people who almost lost their life at Astroworld literally go and get Astroworld tattoos, and they can't wait for the next event. I was actually talking to someone just yesterday who attended Astroworld, and he was someone who actually provided me with some of the videos and information that I got from Astroworld when all of this was taking place, when this was a new news story. And now he's talking about how he can't wait for the next one, and how he's disappointed that he didn't get to go to the next day of Astroworld. And I'm just like, dude, like a couple of months ago, you were thankful that you survived, and now you're like, you can't wait for another Astroworld. So a lot of these young kids that were there, they didn't learn their lesson. The families, I'm sure, learned their lesson. The families of the people who lost their lives. But a lot of these young, idiotic kids that were there and the grown people that were there didn't even learn their lesson from Astroworld. And the next time Travis Scott has one of these festivals, they'll be right there. But at least they'll be there with the knowledge of what happened before. So if this happens again at another Travis Scott concert, I'm not going to blame Travis Scott. At that point, I'm going to blame the people there who literally were idiotic enough to go to another one of these festivals when they saw what happened last time. But I want to know your thoughts about all of this down in the comments below. You already heard the majority of my thoughts. I'll probably touch on this again because there's some other things that I want to expose about this project, and there's some other things that I want to touch on. But for the most part, when it's a charity or when it's a charitable type of thing, you don't want to talk down on it too much, because a lot of the stuff in this initiative, it's not bad stuff, but at the end of the day, it's stuff that Travis Scott already had going on well before Astroworld. And the fact that this was packaged as his response, as if this is supposed to help people, it's just really odd to me, because nowhere in there is there anything that really helps anybody from Astroworld, except the last initiative, the very last initiative, the very last line in this whole entire initiative is about, oh, we're going to try to create new technology to help people at concerts. But the rest of this stuff is just a nonstop virtue signal about helping marginalized kids and at-risk communities and kids of this race or that race, and it's really nothing about the people who were affected at Astroworld. It's nothing about those people. It's nothing about those families. All this money that he's talking about doing to create this charity, he should have distributed it amongst the people who lost their lives at Astroworld, if you ask me. This mental health hotline that he's launching is complete bogus BS, and I hope nobody gets wrapped up in talking to those professionals about whatever they're going through mentally. But let me know your thoughts about all of this down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and as always, find some time out of your day to go watch a movie.